You're beautiful.
Thank you. We have a lot of chemistry. So I'm thinking we're gonna kiss, but I think Chaz.
Baby, listen, welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're giving you guys a review of Ready to Love. Now, usually I go live, but I thought just because where I am, I can't be able to do that. But today we're going to talk about Ready to Love. Let me just tell you something. This episode was interesting. I'll tell you why. Because we had Chaz and Alexis. Alexis, who obviously thought that, her connection with Chaz was so powerful that she wanted to maybe potentially end up kissing each other, which was, I don't know. Chaz has got many connections, and I'm not saying he's a playboy, but it sounds like he's a playboy. And not in that particular way either, like he's a bad guy or anything, but he's able to smoothly operate amongst all the women because he's a good-looking guy. Secondly, we have Alonzo, Patrice, Vanessa, and William's date, which also went down, and it was quite interesting because William and Vanessa never had conversations because the phone number was wrong, but then Vanessa couldn't really participate in the date because Alonzo, Patrice, and William had their conversation, which was more around sports and other things as well, so she felt left out. Interesting kind of date choice. I don't know why Ready to Love set that date up. I don't know, because that's definitely not Patrice's idea. And then Rashina and Justin had a date at the beginning. Sorry, I missed them. They had their date. I'm still not sure about them, and here's the reason why. Because Justin had a conversation with Rashina a couple of episodes ago talking about how he didn't feel no way about kids. And now he had a conversation with Mika a little bit later on and said, with Maya later on, talk about how, he wants to have kids. Which one is it, sir? Now, I know he kind of said he doesn't mind it, but the way he said he wants kids, I was like, well, this is a little bit odd. But anyway, then we had Mika and Dominique. Okay, so Mika and Dominique, I thought this was done because I thought that they've had two different. I thought they had an impasse because it was two different situations going on. Two different viewpoints, perspectives. She doesn't want kids, he does. But she shifted and moved. And shout out to Seaway because she mentioned this on the panel. Some people were kind of slating her at the time, but she mentioned this, that Mika just needs the right kind of guy, and she's going to end up wanting to have another kid. Okay, because she's already starting to shift and move the goalpost with Dominique already. Justin and Maya's date, they had a little date. I've never seen Maya sit so far from somebody, but she was sitting a mile away. She made sure there was oceans between them. Now, that might have been because of production, but again, I will say this. There's ways to get around that, and there's no way that connection at the moment seems to be going anywhere, particularly at this moment, but she seemed to be very open and friendly. And to be fair, she let us know her main connection right now is actually William. Very interestingly enough. Then there was Rashina, Will, and Jonathan date. Awful. Jonathan wasn't open. I don't know why. What is the need for all this? It's not even mysterious at this point. At this point, you're just shutting down. Then there's Will date as well. Will had a date with Rashina as well, and they were together actually. And Will was just firing questions at Rashina, almost as if he was setting her up so he can get information to go and do whatever he needs to do later on and get people out. I don't know why, but they had to go. Okay, the lounge obviously then left it to the ladies, and they felt like Jonathan, Will, and William were the ones that were not connected with any of the ladies as such, and so they were the ones that were going to go. Obviously, we knew that Koshia got let go earlier on, and so that was another interesting situation. But Jonathan and Will were the two that were also let go as a curveball. I personally think there's a bigger reason as to why Jonathan had to go, and it's because of the incident with Alexis. Now, we showed a conversation between the two of them, and he apologized to her there, but he also apologized to her behind the scenes. I think this was Ready to Love's way of getting rid of him. Yeah, Alexis didn't make no noise. Keep her on the show. Send him out, right? Because the Kia situation is still in the background. Shiloh's situation still happened as well. There's been several incidents where there's been women who have gone through some type of sexual assault kind of situation, or a claim to be, and then it's how they've handled it has been improper. So I guess this was their great way of handling things in some sense. But we're gonna talk about all of this in the next kind of 20 or so minutes. I'm sure I probably won't go longer than that. But make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate y'all. We're gonna drop a little intro, and then we're gonna get into the show for you guys as well. All right.
Level black, you know what time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is. Time it is.
Chatter that we heard, whether it was amongst the ladies, whether it was amongst the fellas, that was off-putting to a lot of us.
Anything he has to say is irrelevant to me because he and Lexi are the source of all the drama and nonsense.
Now, obviously, Koshia had to go in the end, but the conversation was really about, the conversation about Alexis and Will's conversation. We'll deal with that in a second or two. But first and foremost, Koshia conversation first had to go through. And, I think first and foremost, can I be honest with you? I really do feel like when it comes to Koshia, she had to go because, like I said, I felt like her energy was a little bit off, a little bit draining. And as much as I feel like she, can be fun and energetic at points in time and, a little bit mysterious, she was rubbing off people on the wrong way. And that was Alonzo, that was LaRon, and whoever else was there, right? So, she had a 1 or 2 spats, and it's one too many. And obviously had an incident with Alexis, the other one as well. Just a little bit, it just felt a little bit unhinged at the time. And so I can understand why the guys were going, let's get her off, because also she had 1 or 2 sharp remarks to say in the confessionals. More than likely, that energy has been felt in person, okay? Because she's quite a straightforward person. She's going to tell you behind the scenes, and she's going to tell you in front of your face. She ain't going to hide it from you. So I can imagine this happening, online, offline as well from Koshia. So I'm not surprised that she went ahead of Mika. But Mika's also been rubbing off the men in the wrong way too, with her very direct questioning, which sometimes leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth. So I get that point, right? And so Koshia unfortunately had to see the light of day. Now let's move this on to Will and Alexis really quickly, because it blew up a little bit later on. With Will and Alexis, it blew up later on, and the reason why it blew up is because in reality, Alexis does have to tell Will some information, but what kind of information she tells him and how she tells him is also quintessential. Now, did she say too much the last time she spoke? I think what she did do is that she wasn't paying attention to the room and looking at how William was going to react, and I bet she didn't also warn the ladies that, hey, I spoke to William, but William seems to be on a warpath. I can't lie to you. Did she tell the ladies that? No. So she didn't warn them, and he's on a warpath, and then he ends up going after Patrice, because he found out through questioning all the other ladies, and as Alexis said quite correctly, through deductive reasoning, he found out that one of you was the ones who said it anyway. So it wasn't Alexis that said it, right? Because they thought it was Alexis who said the information to Will. No, he didn't.
That's it.
That's fine. Let me see if I can get a clip for you guys. He found out through deductive reason. He literally reasoned it out.
I understand.
Right?
I understand.
Here we go. I got it. I got here. Here we go.
I could have sworn what is said in the lounge stays in the lounge. I know you want to help this guy and uplift him. That is a great thing. But when you're telling things that are discussed in the lounge, it gets dangerous.
Now, of course, the reality of the situation is, Patrice, you said it. You shouldn't have said it. You got to hold your own. You said it. You right? You said he steps on the floor, and you believe that he said it out of his mouth. Now, the problem is, Will is dangerous. Not saying things out the lounge. Will is dangerous if you feel that way. It's not a man thing or anything. It's Will. Will feels as dangerous because he feels like you were saying things that were incorrect about him. Now, you told him 100% to his face, and shout out to you, 10 toes down. That's what you said to me. So I said it to the girls' lounge. At that point, Will has to concede, okay? Now, I do believe that obviously Alexis has to be a bit more wise in how she actually how she deciphers information out there. How does she say certain things? She needs to be more wiser in doing that kind of thing. I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm not mad at it. I really feel like she needs to be able to do that. I think that's a appropriate way of dealing with things, right? She just needs to be a bit more wise in how she releases information, knowing that the man like Will, the way he's reacting is improper. He wants to go to war. And it makes it look like Alexis doesn't mind and wants to almost go to war with him, or at least wants to let the bulldog off the leash and do her work for her and her bidding. I'm not saying that's what Alexis is doing, but it's going to look like that. So I definitely understand where Patrice was coming from, but I also understand where Alexis is coming from. I know him. I'm cool with him. We have a connection. I'm going to let him know information. That's just the reality of life. I'm going to let him know some things. But what is she letting him know and how she's doing it is important. But Patrice, I'll be honest with you, from what we saw, she ain't telling him no names. He did deductive reason. He went after all the women and asked them the same question, and we saw it on the screens. And you'll probably see that later after the show as well. So that particular part, yes, because she had to go, but Alexis, obviously, her situation with Will, yes, it came through as well. So we're going to shift it and move it, because since we're talking about Alexis, I thought we should skip ahead a little bit to her date with Chaz.
Waiting a long time to have a date with Alexis. I love how she was put together, her hair, the halter top. So I just want to sit down and understand the woman that she is.
How do you feel about the person that went home and everything?
Now, this conversation just seems so odd to me. Can I be honest with you? It seems so odd because they asked about how do you feel about the person who went home, and obviously Koshia and Chaz seemed to have a connection anyway. It felt like, because the way he defended her was abnormal. But anyway, obviously Chaz ends up engaging in a conversation because she asks about how do you feel about a person going home. But why does Alexis tell him the absolute truth? Why does Alexis say I didn't get on with her? What was her reasoning for choosing that moment? Alexis, why did you feel that would be a good time to talk to him about a girl who you didn't particularly like? How does that put you in a better stead? Like, why is a conversation flowing about another person when you guys are on your date and you haven't had much of a date with that person? What is the point? Now, that might have been production led. I just felt like it could have been replayed in a different way. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of energy, and it also doesn't make you look good in his eyes. Now, as much as Chaz might be like, cool, listen, it's not going to look good in Chaz's eyes because the way he seems to put himself across, I don't think it's going to work for someone like him. To be honest, in my all honesty perspective, I don't think it's going to work in the way that she might think it does. So I just felt like it was no necessary to discuss that point. Now, added onto that point also, I felt like when they spoke about, they said the non-negotiables were loyalty and cheating, right? And then he also said he's going to be calling her more, but he's not going to kiss her because he wanted to respect the connections that he has. I think that's smart. I think that's a great way to play the game. I think that's an appropriate way to play the game. I think that's the only way to play the game. If you start kissing people, you start encouraging people to feel some real type of way about you and have some claim and possessiveness about you. And so if you start kissing people, people start feeling some type of way. People start feeling some type of way. And so I feel like in this instance that that was a very smart move by Chaz. But again, he's a very experienced player. I told you guys about Chaz already, and we'll discuss him in a second or two. But Alexis felt like it was such a spark that, there was going to be a kiss moment. Now, I don't know why she mentions this later on in the lounge, because again, I kind of agreed with Mika a little bit. Why are you telling about something? Why are you telling us about something that never actually happened? He never leaned in. He never tried to kiss you. Like, he was very respectful. What do you mean he tried to kiss you? It's giving you're playing a game, Alexis, a little bit. Can't lie to you. I like Alexis, but it's giving you playing a game a little bit. You marking your territory, but not only that, you're letting the other ladies know that he's closer to you than anybody else. But the reality is, you might have egg on your face because you actually don't know how he really feels. And saying you was close to kissing, why not say, like, you know what, I personally felt like I wanted to kiss him. Like, it was such a great moment. I wanted to kiss him, but you try to play it off as if it was both of you, but you don't know how he felt. And of course they ask him the question about, does he want to kiss her and da. Now, maybe he had a conversation, we didn't see it, maybe it's unedited, but I mean, I'm sure that would have been a great conversation to put into the episode about him saying he wants to kiss her but doesn't want to do it because of the connections. So why bring that conversation up? It's giving you're trying to mark territory. It's giving you letting everybody else know that, listen, you guys are the closest, but in reality you don't actually know. Don't ever put your stakes on someone like that, because when you don't know what they're going to do, you can't put a bet on them. They're not a sure bet, right? They're not a stable horse like that. Do you know what I'm saying to you? They don't have to come throughs like that. You don't know. All right. But let's move on to Chaz a little bit. Now, I feel like Chaz is smart, smooth, and sophisticated with his movements. He ain't gonna let you know. He gonna be respectful about it, disciplined about it, and he ain't gonna go too far. And I respect that. It's a hustle, it's a game, and he's playing it smartly. But I saw him, like I said, with the LaRon situation when he mentioned it and said, "Oh, you're gonna see how she's emotional." There's a little bit of pandering there. You know what game you're playing there. But fair play to the lad. Like I said, he was disciplined. He didn't go in for a kiss. He didn't try to make things mad. But Chaz seems to have a lot of connections. At what point does he start dwindling down? And at what point does he actually feel like, this is what this is gonna be the person I want? Now, of course, there's still a game to be played at the end of the day, and you still got to keep people sweet. So I do understand as well that perspective, that you got to keep it sweet, but you also at the same time got to start nailing down who really is your top connection. I don't know who's the top connection right now. Is it Rashina or Vanessa? We don't really know. Or is it Rashina, Vanessa, or is it Alexis? Because we've been waiting on a date for Alexis. Who is the top connection? We don't actually fully know. Now, we know they're allowed to talk outside of the show, so what's really going on here? What's really up? What's really down? Like, I want to know, right? And I feel like we don't get those answers with Chaz as of yet. That maybe the editing once more again, but it also may be the fact that Chaz hasn't released that information to us, and so we're not privy to that information as well. Let's move on to the date between Alonso, Vanessa, and Patrice as well.
Yeah, I said that.
I'm gonna shoot you some pictures later. Once upon a time, basketball was a thing that I did.
I felt like Patrice.
Yeah, you felt like he was a third wheel. I hear it, Vanessa. Don't even worry about that. Yeah, Vanessa was a third wheel, unfortunately. Yeah, because these are two of Patrice's connections. They're really, really close to her. Production was messing with this. Why put them on a date with her? I just don't know what Vanessa's going to do. Vanessa's not even going to cause mayhem or carnage. Now, of course, William gets put on a date with Vanessa and also Patrice. And I know that he hadn't had a date with Maya very much so until the very end when he's going to get let go weird. But in that reality, yes, Vanessa unfortunately was a third wheel, because what had happened was those were Patrice's closer connections. Vanessa hadn't yet birthed a bond with William because he had the wrong number. He had the wrong number for her. And this is one of the things that happened. That's why it's good that he didn't go too hard. Some of you go too hard, too early. You don't know the full story. I've done it myself, where you're amped up, angry, and hyped and ready to go at any little thing. And you need to learn how to be calm, cool, and collected and react in a manner. It's something I've been learning of late. Really need to emotionally regulate. Don't react on your first reaction. Cool it down. Sometimes that means taking some time out for a few minutes and really going to yourself, actually, is this the right reaction I want to have? And this is the lasting impact I want to show people. Is this what I really want people to see of me? And if it's not, you probably want to pause your reaction. Sometimes you just got to take a breather, let yourself calm down, honor your feelings by saying, I am angry, or I am hurt, I am frustrated, but you know what? I'm not going to let that play out just yet. I want to be cool, calm, and objective about this scenario right now, because there may be a different narrative that I have not yet thought of and that I'm spinning in my own head, and it may not be correct. The thread that I'm weaving into a storyline may not be the right thread, so therefore let me slow it down. Some of you need to learn how to do that, and that was including myself. I'm a person, once I start weaving the thread, I'm ready to go. But the reality is there's another story. The other person also got a thread that needs to also be weaved into the story, so you have a full understanding of what's going on around you. Slow it down. Breathe. Take a minute or two. Honor your feelings. Speak it out loud. This will help you begin to regulate how you feel and not to just react in that immediate moment, which could potentially destroy a relationship. What William did here was said, hey, look, we haven't had a conversation. I feel like, we were connecting at one point, but we didn't get to connect properly. And then she was happy to go, okay, look, the number's different to what it was. I'm the fool here. My bad. I made a mistake. And then we move on. Now, of course, time has elapsed. So he's missed out. He sent her 3 messages. Right? He sent her 3 messages and time has elapsed. But at least you can see the evidence. He did try to reach out to her. He has tried to talk to her. You know what I'm saying to you? But again, reacting wildly in that moment would have caused this issue to come even more firesome. But smartly didn't want to do that, and kept it calm. Now, Alonso and Patrice, they've got their connection already. And of course, Patrice just wanted to see who out of Alonso or William would end up winning out the duel. And just like the basketball, William kind of boxed out Alonso a little bit. But I feel like Alonso and Patrice's connection is a little bit stronger. So I feel they will make it to the end between Alonso and Patrice, which is weird because Alonso, after his Koshia, I didn't think he was going to make it. Never would have made it without you. I would have lost myself. But now I see you're always there for me. That note was off, but don't worry about that. Anyway, cool. So, yeah, they spoke about obviously love at first sight as well in their situation. Can you have love at first sight? And I think you can, right? You can have love at first sight. I haven't had it as of such, but I think you people do have love at first sight, right? It's never a male or woman thing, but I mean, if you want to look at it biblically, Adam had it with Eve. He saw Eve and was like, this is my bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. There's something about you, something about your smile. There's a little something, just a little something, baby. Titty Strider, if you remember. So love at first sight can happen, and it does happen to a few people. I don't know if it's everybody, but I think most of us grow into those kind of spaces. But yes, people do have love at first sight, and I'm not mad at his answer. William obviously said, his 3 sons and wants peace and kindness when it comes to his non-negotiables, which I really loved as well. Why fitness became a problem of non-negotiable for Vanessa, because she was like, I'm not really into the fitness. Baby, I hear you. I understand. You know what I'm saying to you? But people want fitness people. It is what it is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But she obviously used that and later on against him. I don't know if that was, I just think she didn't have a connection with him. So anything was going to make sense to kind of get rid of him. Not that she was being mean or nasty about it, but anything would have got rid of him. I'm not vexed at it at that point. It is what it is. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Let's move on then. Mika and Dominique. Now, this was an interesting conversation because Seaway was talking about this on the last Super panel, which we'll have on Monday night. And what she was describing was that, with Mika, she'll shift positions. Because in reality, what Mika wants is that she wants a man that's stable and financially well and emotionally sound and treats her well and treats her kindly. And that what Mika might have experienced is very negative, traumatic relationships. Hence why the way she asked questions to people, especially when she was asking Jonathan, and it felt like it was an interrogation rather than really trying to understand and get to know this person. We didn't get that. Right? And so on that level, you got Mika and Dominique, who I thought wouldn't make it because he wants a kid and she doesn't want. Like, he's like, she's like, you know what, maybe you can have a baby by me, baby, be a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, she was considering shifting her position. Why? Because there may be stability, there may be connection, there may be love, there may be appreciation, and there may be a place for the fact that this person really, really cares for you. You know what I'm saying to you? You get me, right? You hear me? So at that point, yeah. So said obviously he has a way of opening up. She said he has a way of opening up. Listen, ladies, be very careful. The man that can open you up, you know that you're going to fall hard for this kind of guy. The guy that has the ability to open you up emotionally and place you in a place of comfort and safety, you know that kind of man. It's dangerous to be in that space. Now, for Mika, I want her to be very aware. If Dominique is doing that to you, baby, you either got to get out or you got to commit to the fact that he wants kids. Because I'm telling you, you're going to sink deep. And it's going to be deep, deep, deep. Deep, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna get deep, and when it gets to that place, it's very hard to get out of. Like, you have to be very careful of that. But she said obviously originally she felt like he was short, and she wasn't sure that she actually liked him at first. But then she kind of grew to know him, and then kind of got to like him as well because of his charm, his energy, his vibe, whatever you want to call it, right? But it's funny because Dom was like, I'm not scared because I'm in the, I got the street kind of aura, but I'm also a gentleman. Yeah, them kind of brothers got to be careful, man. They know exactly what they're doing, man. He said he knew exactly what he doing. So again, I'm not stressed at what he's saying. I appreciate it, I'm down for it. And yeah, like honestly, it was interesting to kind of see. I think it was interesting to kind of see. So yeah, no, I thought that was an interesting perspective because I feel like Mika's going to shift her position now, either to stay in the competition, right? Or she generally may feel a shift because she may feel like Dominique does promote some ideals that she does like in a man who can keep her around. Okay, she said she needs a man who is funny, and she was laughing with Dominique. So clearly there's a lot of good traits that Dominique is bringing to the table that is really intriguing her and causing her to really think about relationships in the future. I'm not mad at it, right? Because of course, a lot of times when it comes to love, if you start overlooking certain traits a person has that you normally were like, I'm not really about it, oh, they do this and I'm not, and it's not necessarily a red flag, but it's more of a case of your personal preference, and you start overlooking that, you might find yourself in a deep place that you don't realize you're actually in. Tight, right? Okay, so but he said he likes women who can compromise, and he feels like the cooking is a non-negotiable for him too as well. So Mika immediately said, oh, I can cook, don't worry about that. That's when I knew that Mika, you like this guy, because you immediately let him straight know, hey, as for me though, I can cook, so don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it around here. I'm just wanted to find out a little bit more what you meant. But she made very, very clear there's a difference between me and the other ladies. Okay, well, I know you said about that, but let me let you know about this. I'm different. Okay, I'm different, baby. Okay. So I definitely heard that point as well. And see that point as well. Yeah, Mika making a shift, if I met the right guy. He said, I'm confident. And they have a vibe as well. So that was me. That was Mika and Dominique as well. Let me know your thoughts down below. See what you guys think. Justin and Maya, there's space between us. There are oceans between us. Because honestly, it felt like Olga was trying to run away from him. I don't know what was going on, but she didn't want to give him breathers and space, baby. She made sure there was a gap between them. They were sitting on the couch on the sofa, and I didn't provide a link video for the other one that I did. I apologize, guys. But this gap between the two of them, I said, damn, y'all don't like each other?
More about this.
Let's see if I can get a look. He had to even get closer, but she wasn't even trying to move. Look, her hands are in her lap. She even kicking the floor and doing the young girl kick. She did not want him to get any closer, baby. She said, no, don't get closer. Don't get closer. I'm not burning now. I don't want you to love me. So, hey, I'm not mad at it. But, he said, obviously, after her shaking her nash in his face, he wanted to really get to know her. Of course, Maya is one of the prettiest women on the show. And so I can understand why he might have felt like he wanted to get to know her and really get deeper with her and try to understand her a bit better. She is exquisite to look at. But she was keeping herself to herself. And maybe that's Maya's way of kind of starting a conversation. She doesn't want to open herself up too much. She's being more coy, maybe observing a bit more as well. I am surprised by Maya that she said William was her top connection because he had 3 kids already. But I guess because they're grown, and I guess obviously, but no, they're not all the way grown, but I don't know if they live with him. So technically he's still a single man. But I love the fact that she was saying that she connected with William, which means she is considering more than just looks and considering more than even just your situation. She's looking at the heart of the individual person. And I really looked at Maya differently. I was like, wow, actually, I got to look at her differently now, because Maya seems to be a person who might be looking at the heart of the individual. What can he bring to the table? And more than just finances, can we envisage life together? And maybe that's what she was looking at. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, Maya, I'm looking at you differently. I'm seeing it. And of course, remember, that she's obviously family orientated as well. So that's very heavy and big for her. So maybe that's why maybe him having kids wasn't such a big deal. It's still got that family orientated kind of feel to it, which is key. Now, obviously, then where I said Justin had an issue is that he started telling us about how he's family oriented. He wants kids, but he already said that he didn't mind earlier on. But now he's saying he wants kids. Why? Because Maya's there and Maya wants kids. So now he wants kids. This is why I didn't want you to play around earlier on, Justin. She just said, he said, look, I want to have kids, but I also don't mind if I don't have kids. But when you just say I don't mind having kids, and then to say that to stay in a competition and playing a game, so that the ladies who are, don't want to have kids anymore are going to accept you, bro, you're playing a game already. And I'm not mad at it, because it's part of the game. It's part of the show. It's part of the way to stay on the show. So I'm not crazy about it, but we do have to pick it out and say, hey, look, you already said that you didn't really want kids. You're kind of flexing a little bit now and saying you do. Which one is it? Are you don't mind, or is it? And two truths can be true. I may want kids, but I'm not pressed if I don't have them. That's different. You know what I mean? I may want kids, but I'm not pressed if I don't have them. That is also a fair place. But even that would be a little bit concerning for the ladies who actually don't want kids anymore, because they're sure they don't want kids, and you're not 100% sure. Even if you're saying, I don't mind not having kids. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So, I mean, of course, he talked about how you want to play stepdaddy in earlier episodes, but now you are saying you don't mind, you want to have kids. So I think a little bit of gameplay in there from Justin, and I think we all knew his true persona is that he wanted kids, and so he's doing what he had to do and stay in the competition, but it definitely will end up probably coming out a little bit later on. Let's talk about Rashina and Jonathan and Will, because I felt like this date went awry, and I'll tell you why it went awry. It went awry because I felt like, Jonathan again didn't open up. I'm not sure why.
And we'll get to some breath, okay? Yeah.
I think will be my personality. What's that?
This oats and honey.
I can't show you.
Okay, hold on, let's get it.
Don't get me wrong. I like my Hennessy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
No, for real.
But
now, I don't know why Jonathan said that he, he's private and didn't want to open up about, his non-negotiables. What was the big deal about opening up about non-negotiables? Now, I don't know if they edited a part of the other part of the clip and brought that into there and he actually answered it. I don't know. But my thing is this. Why couldn't he answer the question about non-negotiables? It's not that deep. It's not the biggest thing to answer a non-negotiable. Are the girls going to run away with it? Are the girls going to do something crazy with the information about non-negotiable? Like, non-negotiable is not even a heavy conversation. It's not even like a girlfriend-orientated conversation. It's not a wife-orientated conversation. So why couldn't you just mention that you had some non-negotiables? That's what was weird to me. I was like, you're doing too much at this moment, and you don't realize you're doing too much. And that showed me a little bit as well about Jonathan's mistrust, his mistrust and his ability to clam up and not open up. Now, of course, it's Rashina again, because it was Rashina, and he was doing it with Koshia, where he didn't want to open up at all. Now, I don't know what he senses and what he feels as to why he can't open up, and Mika as well. Maybe there's something that they're doing that he doesn't like, that I need to find out why he's doing what he's doing. But why he couldn't open up about that question, it wasn't even deep. It felt like he was blocking it. And that, for me, was a little bit concerning in terms of anybody going to date him. How do we recommend somebody to you if we are always blocking people getting to know you? And it's not even the deepest thing either, right? So that was a bit weird. Will obviously said that, faith in God is most important. But what was interesting is that when Will talked about his situation later on, because it went 1-to-1 and Will was talking with Rashina, he was blazing her with questions. And I mean, he was blazing her with questions. Like, he wanted to find out pure information. And I was like, even to a point, I think she wanted to find out about his connection and who was I talking. It was just too much. I was like, Will, question after question is looking like an interrogation, my guy. It's not looking like you're interested. It looks like you're interrogating her. Now, maybe you were ready to go. Maybe you felt like, this was no longer for you. Maybe you felt like this process was now prolonging and you wanted to get out of there. I don't know. But the process of questioning the way he did was unfortunate. And I wasn't really with it as well. So that was also interesting. Now, I want to say like this. Jonathan had to go. It's my final remarks on this. Jonathan had to go, and I'll tell you why Jonathan had to go, at least, because of the incident with Alexis. That incident where he grabbed her, put on his lap, blah, blah, blah. I am sure that behind the scenes they were talking about it, and because Alexis decided to keep quiet and not make a big fuss in the scene, they were able to go, do you know what, we're going to let Jonathan go the next episode, right? Now, Jonathan might not have been the one. You know, Jonathan might not have been the one. Jonathan might not have been the person, right? Jonathan might not have been 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 the person who was going to go. It might have been Will, but the reality of the situation is, because I think maybe Will's going and they're like, you know what, we need a curveball. Oh please, curveball. Why do you need a curveball? Why do we need a curveball? And two people need to go because production probably got involved. Realize that Alexis kept it quiet. Let's help Alexis here, but also let's help ourselves. Send Will out, Jonathan out. Let's not let him have any more problems. He's out the door. That way it keeps things quiet, keeps a lid on everything. We don't have to say anything too much. We're out here. You know what I'm saying? They've done that in previous seasons before, you know, with Eric and stuff like that as well. So I understand that. You know what I mean? So yeah, we ain't mad at that. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, I want to leave it there because I'll do deeper breakdowns through the course of the week. But I felt like I could just drop this part for you guys as well. So, hey guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button. Let me know your thoughts down below of this breakdown for you guys. And, you know, we'll see you again very, very soon. Much love.